All right, it's another edition of the On the Mic podcast. And over the last month, we've had fighters doing interviews while cutting weight in the sauna. We had Dean Thomas driving a car yesterday, literally driving a car. Told me if he crashed, it was on my conscience. And now our guest today is, he's on an amazing win streak. He's undefeated in Bellator. Apparently, he's an MMA reporter, so he's coming for my job. He's one of the best, and I'm gonna sound like I'm blowing smoke here, but I've wanted to talk to him for a while. He's one of the best in the Midwest. He is Raufeon Stots. Sir, how are you?
I'm doing good, man. Doing great. Reporting live. You know what I'm saying?
I'm like, man, I saw the video with you and Bilal, and I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm never getting UFC credentials or Bellator credentials anymore. I was like,
coming
they got
for
a
everything
reporter
you
and
work
a fighter,
bro.
coming for everything. But man, so you've got, you've started your career off, and me being from Chicago, your name is something that we hear all the time, because the Midwest, let's just keep it honest, outside of Milwaukee, the Midwest doesn't really have MMA. So yeah. First and foremost, to have that, right, to have a kind of like the honor of carrying the Midwest with your team, your gym, and your career, what does that mean to kind of put this region on the map for you?
Man, that feels pretty amazing. The Midwest has done a lot for me. So to be carrying the banner of the Midwest, man, that feels amazing. I feel like I talk about how tough the people from the Midwest are a lot, and having to deal with those cold months and all the type of stuff like that, it makes for tough fighters, tough people. So I'm proud to do that.
Yeah, man, and you've got a great gym out there, in Roufusport. But I want to talk to you about Bellator and your upcoming fight. We'll talk about Roufusport here in a second. But you're 3-0, you're undefeated in Bellator, and I believe 7-fight win streak right now. Man, there's one blemish on your record. Being so young and so talented and having so much early success, to be honest, in the fight game, that's usually a recipe for disaster. But the way you carry yourself on social media, the way you carry yourself during fight week and into the fight, you would think you've been doing this for 40 years. So for you, what do you credit that to, where you don't get too far ahead of yourself, where you don't look too far ahead, and you don't let all the noise get to your head?
I credit it to my environment here at Roufusport. And also, like, throughout the years, I've been blessed with the people I've been able to train with. I started under Gents Pover, who is very decorated, very wise in MMA. And then also Pat Militich, and then moving on to Duke Rufus and all the guys here, Anthony Pettis, Sergio Pettis, Scott Cushman, Tyron Woodley, Paul Felder, you know what I mean? So I've been able to collect a lot of knowledge and kind of intangible things from those guys. I think that's the biggest difference.
That's a lot of championship mindset you just mentioned. Sergio Pettis, obviously, he's fighting for the belt, coming up here in Bellator. You mentioned Tyron Woodley, you've mentioned Anthony Pettis, and even Paul Felder, to a point, just carries himself like a champion. And so do a lot of the fighters that you mentioned that you've worked with. But focusing on Roufusport, when you said the Midwest has done a lot for you, you joined a world-class gym, when you teamed up with them. What has Roufusport and your teammates done for you in your career?
They pretty much made me. My teammates have pretty much made me into the fighter I am today. Guys like Emmanuel Sanchez, Sergio Pettis, Brian Batista, Christian Rodriguez, a lot of top-notch guys that are holding me accountable every day. So that's what I am, pretty much my teammates.
So 3-0 in Bellator. You have this fight with Josh Hill coming up. I'm not going to do the cliche interview questions. I'm not going to ask you how training camp was, how's your weight. I'm not doing any of those. I think Bellator knows me well enough to know I don't ask those questions. But when you look at how this last year has been, for the entire world, COVID, and then there was no events and there was events. I think the biggest thing for me, for fighters coming into 2021 with Bellator, as things kind of resumed here, is you're coming into Showtime and you're coming into a ranking system, and your name is already high up there in the ranking system. What does that do for you entering this fight next week?
I feel like it does. I mean, it's pretty much, for me, actually, it helps me to have like a path and like not let a lot of fighters kind of in or sneak their way out of fighting me, Also, there's another reason to fight me. I feel like there wasn't a lot of reasons to fight me. People weren't like excited lining up to fight Raufeon Stots, but now that I have a number by my name, you know, it makes the deal a little sweeter if you can beat me. So yeah, for fighters that are above me, you can't run too much longer. Fighters below me, now maybe you want to fight me because I have a something you want. As far as the promotion, I feel like the ranking system kind of lets people know who's who and who's, you know, contenders and who's, you know, really doing the things to become champions. So I think it's good all around.
Now, with that being said, you know a lot better than most fighters, man. Once you have that number attached to your name and you have the record that you have, you're gonna have these fights where I don't want to fight him, or can I get a different opponent? Like, there's gonna be trying to avoid fighting you, and at the top, it's even harder to try and avoid you. With you kind of being right there, but not the top contender, how do you feel you need to manage that, where you're not going to just take a fight with anyone just to keep yourself active? You got to be smart with, you know, how you go about your career moving forward, because there is a number attached to your name.
I have not even thought about like if they offer me a fight, I'm gonna take the fight. As far as like protecting my number, I'm not too concerned about protecting my number. I feel like if I go out there and perform the way I should perform, what should happen will happen. So you know, I don't feel I need to protect my numbers. I'm more worried about chasing other people's numbers. If I have to, like for instance, now I'm ranked number 4 fighting a guy that's ranked number 7, which there could be some arguments there. He should be higher than that. But I'm not concerned with like fighting somebody lower than me. If the Bellator, if the matchmakers feel that there'll be a tough test for me, I'm down to take it. You know what I mean? I'm down for taking tests. The guys above me, you know, that's what my concern comes. If the guys above me kind of want to try to find the easy way out and not fight me. So that's kind of where my head's at. You know, for other people it might be different, but I want the challenges. So I'm down for it.
I mean, that's a beautiful mindset, especially, like I said, so early and young in your career, man. But how are you looking at the top of the division? I know we have Juan Archuleta and Sergio Pettis. Obviously, I know where your heart lies, right? But have you thought about, if the fight goes one way? I mean, like you said, you're ranked number 4. How do you approach what's going on with the title right now?
You know, I feel like Sergio will be the champion. I feel like he's too good and he's trained too hard, and he does all the right thing. He's got all the experience. So I feel like what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play bodyguard for a little bit, and I'm gonna knock off all the top contenders. I mean, I want to fight them all eventually. You know, that's kind of the type of fighter I am. I've never been a type of fighter that like to pick and choose like routes to get certain places. Like my mindset, my headspace is I'm fighting every one of them eventually. You know what I mean? So let's just start knocking them off the list. You know what I mean? And maybe when I get the title, then I can start a revenge or another tour. You know, just start lapping people like Kamaru Usman. You know what I mean? So that's where my head's at. You know, I don't feel like I'm trying to like hop and skip my way to the belt. I want to fight all these guys. I want to fight Patrick Nix. I want to fight Magomedov. I want to fight James Gallagher. I want to fight Josh Hill, who I'm fighting, Leon Higo. I want to fight all these guys.
Well, you could sign me up for the next 5 fights, you know, based off of that mindset there. And I love what you said. You know, you'll be a bodyguard if your teammate does come out and success. I credit you, man, because I don't think a lot of people would have that same mindset. We've seen it time and time again in this sport where teammate against teammate. You just mentioned Kamaru Usman. He just picked up and left gyms and was like, sorry, you know, we're not running with this teammate headline. Not that you plan on doing that, but I just think a lot of people wouldn't be like, I'll protect the top while my guy's reigning at the top. So I compliment you on that, man. But how has Bellator, when you're so young, man, and you have such success, you know, some people, they throw that 3-letter promotion out, UFC. And there's been plenty of names, and yourself included, that didn't go to that 3-letter promotion, and they've signed with Bellator or other promotions, and they've seen high success. Now we're also seeing old veterans of the UFC, not calling Anthony or Yoel Romero old, because I don't want to die, but we've seen veterans in the sport move over to Bellator. So when you have an influx of young talent like yourself, and then you have a wave of veterans coming into Bellator, man, how do you see your promotion moving forward, and your time with Bellator? How do you see Bellator moving forward?
I just see progression, I just see, Bellator making all the right moves. And also, like, people are starting to kind of get the picture that Bellator, they care about their athletes, and they're treating them how they should feel they should be treated. So I just feel like, yeah, the promotion is just going up. It's just getting better, and I'm so happy I signed with them.
Well, I got to ask this too, because I think it was interesting yesterday during the press conference. Scott Coker kind of talked about Horiguchi and how things went there, and having that opportunity to cross promote. He said he loves cross promotion. Raufeon, as you continue to climb and succeed in this, sport, you're going to have these opportunities with Bellator to possibly do these cross promotional events. I can kind of see the smile right now. Does that kind of get you going? Does that excite you to know, like, hey man, I could be all over the world, going for multiple belts, defending the Bellator belt, whatever?
Yeah, and that's the other thing about Bellator. I feel like there's so many different ways, to do different things. Go out, they step outside of the box. The tournaments, you know what I mean? That's stepping a little bit outside of the box. The cross promotion, that's super exciting. Those dreams matchups you wish you could have, but they're fighting for another organization. Bellator is willing to do stuff like that. So that's exciting. That's super exciting.
You mentioned the Grand Prix. I know we have a couple Grand Prix going on, the light heavyweight Grand Prix going on, taking center stage with Bellator right now. Do you like these Grand Prix? I feel like you gotta really love this sport and understand, like the old school mentality of these Grand Prix. I can see you're a big fan of the Grand Prix.
Big fan of the Grand Prix. Actually, one of the main reason actually I signed with Bellator was because of the Grand Prix. Not only the prize at the end, but again, like I come from like a wrestling background, so I'm usually I gotta get to the top, and I have a route to the top, and I gotta pretty much beat everybody on my way up to the top. You know what I mean? There's no kind of politics involved. You know what I mean? So I really like that format.
I think that's beautiful what you just said, man. No politics, right? It's not about who's talking trash most. It's not about who's got the most social media followers. It's I beat the last guy, you beat your last guy. Now we're gonna fight. What should we expect in this fight against Josh Hill? You said he's ranked number 7. There could be conversation, maybe a little higher. That sounds to me like you're bringing in a lot of respect to your opponent. So what should we expect from you next Friday?
You can expect me to be dominant, exciting, and finish this fight probably in the second round.
Now I have to ask, and just because you're in Milwaukee, and he was recently, in the spotlight of the combat sports world is Ben Askren, and I gotta ask, man, Jake Paul is getting under the skin of so many people. I mentioned earlier, I just talked to Dean Thomas, for this podcast recently, and he said he respects Jake Paul because he's still putting in the work. And he might be pissing a lot of people off, but he's putting in the work. I'm just curious where you stand with this, because it's like when Conor McGregor was calling out Floyd, everybody in boxing was like, stay in your lane, bro. Like, you Irish guy, drink your whiskey, stop talking, stop, all right? Now he's like, now that it's Jake Paul, the MMA world is like, stop talking. Like, it's kind of just back and forth. First and foremost, your thoughts on Jake Paul?
Well, obviously, Ben is a really good friend of mine. I take me and my kid, or my kid and my son and his son are actually like best friends. So they hang out a lot. So I don't like Jake Paul for the fact that he fought Ben Askren, but I can also respect, he is putting in the work and he is getting better. With some of the fights, I don't believe he should, get some of the fights, but I mean, this is the world we live in, so usually what sells is gonna happen. so I understand that, and it's just the way it is, and I probably don't hate him as a person or anything like that, but I don't like the way it carries itself, and that's that.
We're in agreement there, because I don't either. I won't go on record and say I hate him, but I wouldn't shake his hand. With that being said, man, do you think like he's gotta, like, this boxing MMA crossover needs to stop? Like, I feel like the ignorant thing to say when talking about these fights is, well, boxing is just one part of MMA, but then people who grew up in the boxing world go, it's totally different. You just don't understand. Do you think these crossovers need to stop so we can focus on highlighting our top fighters in our respective sports, or are you okay with it?
No, I'm okay with the crossover. Yeah, I think the crossover is good. There's a market for it, obviously. So yeah, I have no problems with MMA fighters. I mean, it happens. They do jiu-jitsu tournaments and no gi matches and stuff like that, wrestling matches. So I have no problem with that.
How do you feel about being on Showtime for this upcoming fight?
I feel like it's gonna be good. I think I'm on the YouTube.
Oh, YouTube for them?
Which, I mean, the main card is cool, but I feel like for my family, I like it because I can tell them, like, hey, you just go watch it. Go watch it on YouTube. You don't gotta. I don't have to like create this long post about, hey, this is what you go. You sign up for this. You do this. You do this. And get a million questions in my DMs. So I'm excited. I'm excited for Showtime as a partner, though. That's amazing. Right. I feel like that same thing, that boxing MMA crossover promotion thing, I think is a brilliant idea.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you. Before I let you go, and I really appreciate your time today, man, what keeps you so entertaining outside the sport? I mean, if you look at some of the guys that have been at Roufusport, Bilal Muhammad, Jared Gordon, a good friend of mine, I kind of grew up in the same area as Bilal, kind of seeing his rise to the top. You guys in Milwaukee just have a different vibe and outgoing characterness about you. Like, what is it that you're like, I gotta keep myself involved without being too serious 24/7?
Man, I don't know. It's maybe just the vibe, the vibe here. Bilal is hilarious. He's probably one of the most hilarious people to me, without being hilarious even. But yeah, I think it's just the vibe, the culture we've created in Milwaukee.
If you had to say one thing, this would be my last one. If you had to say one thing about your coach, Duke Roufus, and really your entire team at Roufusport, how would you sum them up?
Man, one word, probably be just motivation. I'm motivated by my coach, what he's accomplished. I'm motivated by all teammates and what they accomplish, on the daily, and seeing their work ethic and seeing, what the possibilities that can happen if you put your best foot forward and you try really hard at something. So motivation.
Raufeon Stots, man, I'm not just saying this. I've obviously been a big personal fan of yours for a while. So finally, we got this interview done. Thanks to Bellator for putting it together. You can come on their show whenever, and who knows, maybe I'll come out to Milwaukee one day. But definitely wish you all the best. Bellator 258 goes down next Friday. You can catch Raufeon on the YouTube prelims. He should be on Showtime, but I don't want Bellator to get mad at me. I'll do it. I'll say it for you, though, bro. I got you. So, Raufeon, all the best, and I hope we can talk after your fight.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, we'll talk later for sure. Maybe I'll report something for you.
All right, sounds good.